sekarang kita sudah di bus tour kita milih ke Jeonju Tour. Ini sebenarnya ada dua, ada Gwangju juga.
Come back maybe around 1 or some time. So we are our first destination is the Jeonju Rural Development Administration. So there will be someone who will guide you when you got there. So don't worry about that. And I hope all of you can enjoy today's tour. And please let me know if you have any question or if you have any inconvenience. Okay? And it's gonna take like 1.5 hour to our destination, so feel free to take a rest before we got there. Okay, see ya.
Itu di bawah Kementerian Pertanian Korea. So, 안녕하세요.
Nếu you put one, yeah. So this evening he may not have a chance to have dinner with us. In fact, he won't. He could just stay. He want to have a dinner together with us, but wait for 1.5 hours.
Wow.
Because the one way we finish here 5:30, we will finish here 4:30. 1 hour.
Bingkisan juga. Kita lihat di sini apa aja. Isi kering cookie, buku masak. trip. di tempat pertama. Hey. Anginnya kencang.
Yes, Jiangsu. Nanti Jiangsu. Nanti Jiangsu.
Kita akan difoto. Oke, kita masuk.
Welcome to
Kita datang di RDA, Rural Development Administration. Oh yes, enak banget di sini.
Pak tadi depan. Kalau bisku menangan belakang, Pak. Okay.
You need to wear glasses because it's like a full day video and it's gonna take like 50 minutes. So total time will be like 22 minutes video. So I hope all of you could enjoy the video and have fun.
Okay.
And ideas, RDA has been leading the smart change in Korean agriculture. RDA brings innovation technology to the field.
Policy to boost the countryside economy. So it's been almost 5 years since we moved down, and so here is the milestones and history of the Korean agriculture and its development. So ever since the RD was established in 1962, the first and foremost goal of us was
Kita ke lantai 2.
pictures that shows the important points in the agricultural development of Korea. So here are all black and white pictures when they were still in the early development stage. Plastic instead is because glass is very fragile and heavy and also expensive. So we use plastic instead, which still work for the Korean farmers. Art called Hongno. So have any of you guys heard of Chuseok in Korea?
No.
Chuseok is like Thanksgiving Day in Korea.
Oh, yeah.
And during Chuseok, we like to provide our ancestors with good food, including the red apples. But the apples that we used to import previously from Japan didn't become ripe and red by the time for Chuseok, which is usually in September or October, depending on the lunar calendar. So RD scientists went on to develop a better quality apple that will become red and nicely ripened by the time for Chuseok, and this is the product. And another part of the quality revolution is this seed potatoes that's grown in hydroponic cultivation. So these kind of seed potatoes are very resistant against soil-borne viruses because they are grown in a solution. So here we are going to start with soil, which is, as you can see, the basis of agriculture. So soil, there are a lot of components critical to agriculture and crop development, like sunlight and water and other factors. Veg, barley and rice and others. The barley and rye are the most commonly used green manure crops in Korea. So when we plant these kind of crops on the soil, then it would, but once it's implemented, then it would be more cost beneficial for the farmers. This is Beetonia rice that we developed in the 1970s.
Okay, it's okay.
So although it granted us self-sufficiency of rice and led to the Green Revolution, it was, as I mentioned, a combination of Japonica and Indica rice. And you know, Koreans prefer sticky rice. So it wasn't as tasty as we would have preferred. So our scientists, after we achieved the food security, went on to develop better tasting and higher quality rice. So we have developed 271 cultivars of rice so far, and here we have some of our best rice cultivars. And the problem now in Korea is that compared to the past, now we have excessive rice because Korean people now are consuming more flour and wheat and less rice. So that's the reason why the R&D scientists at the Crop Science Institute have developed multifunctional rice, which can be used for other purposes. So this rice here, the semimyeon, it can be used to make rice pasta or rice noodles. And this soybean rice here, you can tell from the yellowish color, is used to make makgeolli or rice wine, fermented rice wine. So these are the ways of how the R&D scientists are trying to reduce the rice loss by creating multifunctional rice. And here are strawberries. So has anyone of you tried Korean strawberries?
No.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Try?
Yes, it's very sweet and very big and firm. But the Korean strawberries have been only developed after the 2000s. So it's until the early 2000s. More than 90% of the Korean strawberry market was dominated by Japanese varieties. So obviously it's not a bad thing, but it meant that Korean farmers would have to pay a lot of royalties to Japanese farmers. So in order to reduce the dependency, the R&D scientists also developed strawberries. So this would be the traditional method of growing and harvesting the strawberries. And this is a very tiring method for the farmers because they have to bend down very low and pick up each one by hand. So we also have this new method where we use a cultivation tank. So instead of soil, we use a nutrition solution. So we can control the amount and type of nutrition. Saponin is the component that increases your immunity and blood circulation. So it's very good, obviously, for your health, but it can be pretty expensive and difficult to cultivate because including the time to prepare the soil or see on your left. So using this method of cultivating ginseng, you can harvest ginseng from when it's just 4 months old. It will still have the same nutrition, and not just that, if we use this method, here is cow or Korean beef. So we call them hanu. Han means Korean, and wu is cow. And here we have, this is a matchmaking system for the cows. So we'll be just skipping this section because the video is going to be in Korean. This is just a display of all the R&D's products and achievements. So this, is everyone coming? So this is a further explanation of the value revolution that we were talking about earlier. So the value revolution is all about this term sixth industry. Have you guys heard of this before? So sixth industry is a combination of first industry, which is just production, Second, industry, which is manufacturing and processing. And third, service industry. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 is altogether 6. So that's why we call it sixth industry. And how we are trying to engage in the sixth industry in the agricultural sector is by adding value to agricultural products and services. So for an example, that's been developed by RD and private sector companies. So here we have a lot of like bean paste, chili paste, colored potato chips, fermented rice wine, and preserved flowers. And here are some of the machineries that we have created. So this is a GPS control tractor. So as you can see, it's driverless. You can control it with a computer as long as it's connected to GPS and internet. So this was developed in collaboration with LG, the phone company. And this is also another machinery that's been successfully developed by RD. It's a grafting robot for fruits and vegetables. So both of them are supposed to be more accurate than human farmers. And they are both already available in the market, so it's successfully being sold to the farmers. So that was it for the present or modern agriculture. And before we move on to the future section, here is a little Hall of Fame that we have in our team. So this person is Dr. Woo Jung-chun. He was the founder of what became the National Institute of Horticulture and Herbal Science today. So I think his mother was Japanese and his father was a Korean. So he spent his youth in Japan, but he decided to follow back his roots to Korea, and he developed a lot of great things like the seedless watermelon in Korea, and he founded the horticultural base in Korea. That's him. And another person here is Dr. Kim In-hwan. He contributed greatly to the Green Revolution. So he was one of the key developers for the steel rice in the 1970s. So currently we just have 2 persons in this Hall of Fame, and we are waiting for more 3 researchers of RD to and we are now moving into the future agriculture, and we are going to look at the effect of global warming. So Korea is supposed to be a very temperate climate with 4 seasons. That's very distinct around the year. But with global warming and climate change, it's predicted that the temperature of the Korean peninsula would rise by 5.7 degrees in the next 100 years. So from a temperate climate, we will be then. So here we have the address to the website on soil information system that we were just talking about earlier. So this is where we upload all the soil, analyzed soil data and information. And I think it's only available in Korea 5 that we just saw in the short video. So Korea is a very small piece of land, and with this is a LED light technology for plant factories. So, Korea to control these smart farm facilities by just a click on your smartphone. And this is a screen, but it's supposed to and here we have an explanation, just a brief one on the sericulture industry. So, in the 1970s, we had to find ways to make use of the excessive silk in Korea. So we went on to develop technologies where we use silk to make artificial bones and artificial eardrums. And not just that, we also develop other silk products like toothpaste and hair dyes and skincare products, which I'm sure a lot of ladies are interested in. So this one in particular is called, the brand is called Re20 because it's supposed to make you look like you're 20 years older. Yeah.
That's weird.
And these are products that's made from mulberry, which is a primary source of food for the silkworms. So you can see here's the life cycle of the silkworm. So here is where we knit the cocoon in hot water, so it's easier to extract the silk. And some, not all, some of the Koreans, they like to eat this all about insect as using insect as food resources. So, the world population is constantly growing and the food resources and the other natural resources are all limited. So that's why some scientists have turned to insects as a primary source of proteins and nutrition. Yeah, so RDA is also doing its part on using, we have chosen pigs because they are most biologically similar to human. And we obviously do have human organ donors, but there's not enough with. So we mainly have two types of international cooperation. One is Korea Program on International Agriculture, that's like a more bilateral